Tenessa enjoyed her work. It may be a stretch to say that she loved it, as it is nearly impossible to find a sapient in any partition of the universe that truly loves their work. There were aspects of it that she loved. She loved, or at the very least liked, the fact that she was employed, and it provided for her better than the universal income that sustained most of the denizens of the lower barrens. She loved that being a rickshaw runner kept her agile and fit, and she loved all the strange and interesting people she met on her daily rounds. She especially loved the humans, as they were more amiable than most, and more often than not provided her a greater sum than her registered rates. The word gratitude didn't translate at all into her language, and even when pressed that they had overpaid, humans would just wave her away and go about their business. Today, in particular, was a day that she loved. For the last month, she had saved every credit she had to spare, as she did every year. Tonight was one of celebration, and for a few short hours she would be able to live life to the fullest, and free, albeit on a budget. "Good evening, Jimmick," she chirped, as she entered a seedy bar, one of the dozens that dotted her particular sector of town. "Evening, Ten. The usual?" The aging barman responded, without looking up from the glass he was currently wiping. "No, I'm going to need a menu. It's my lifestyle day." She beamed as she slid onto one of the open bar stools. Her usual haunt was only moderately busy, accounting for the time of day. "Again? They seem to be becoming more and more frequent," Jimmick teased her, as he slid an old paper menu in front of the young woman. She didn't really need one. She already had an idea of which modestly priced meal she would indulge in, but it added to the experience of the event. Still, just once it would be nice to be able to have a plate of freskin tubers or a jazz-based salad. But one of those dishes would eat away almost her entire evening's budget, so she quickly banished the thought. "Happy birthday, kid," came a low, gravelly voice to her right. "I'm not a kid. I'm 23, she said, with a false haughtiness as she turned to face the offending patron, only to find herself staring into the face of an aged human. His hair was grey with flecks of black and his face worn and scarred. He wore a set of older standard issue armour, now painted over with the colours of the alabaster rose. A mercenary. 23, eh? Had a niece that would have been about your age the last we talked," he said wistfully. "Oh? Where is she now?" she inquired. She always loved hearing more about humans, their families and their tales. They always seemed to have the most colourful stories. The mercenary's expression dropped slightly, and a look began to form in his eyes. It was one that Tenessa had seen only a handful of times, but she recognized it instantly. It was a look of great sorrow, and loss, and regret. A far-away sort of look. Oh, I am so sorry," she said softly. The mercenary shook his head, returning his psyche to the bar. "Nah, don't be. It was a long time ago, and I'm not going to be a downer on your day with old war stories. Any big plans for your evening, kid?" "Well, after dinner, my friend Valen and I are going to the AR Rotunda, and then I plan on getting some of that chilled treat your kind brought. Afterwards, I'll probably just walk around the park and feed the meadowbirds." A grin formed on her face as she was mapping out what would likely be her finest night for the year. "That sounds like a blast. So I'll leave you to it before you waste your whole night dithering away to an old sellsword," the mercenary said, as he slid off his stool and grabbed his battle-scarred off the bar. "Have a good night, kid." While the human was making his way to the exit, an exasperated voice called out, "Sir? Sir, your bill!" The mercenary turned and slapped his forehead with his palm. "Damn near walked out on my tab. Must be getting forgetful in my old age. I am sorry about that." The mercenary pulled a credit chit to pay, and as Jimmick reached to grab for it, the human gently but firmly grabbed the barman, drawing him in close to utter something only he could hear. Tenessa watched in confusion, as Jimmick's eyes grew wide with fear, before he began nodding emphatically to whatever was being said. The mercenary then released the visibly shaken bartender with a "good man." Before leaving entirely, the mercenary gave Tenessa a slight wave and a smile. It wasn't the large, toothy kind she had come to associate with the humans. It was a small, subtle thing, one that nonetheless played at the size of his eyes, indicating its authenticity. Tenessa returned the gesture before quickly looking back down to her menu, to avoid embarrassing Jimmick, as he turned back towards his patrons. She was again mulling over the moderately priced menu items, when a hand laid upon the menu and pushed it gently to the bar. It was Jimmick's. "It's covered, Ten. Get whatever you want," he said, as she met his gaze. Tenessa was shocked. In all her years of knowing the old barman, he was never so free with credits. Friendly, sure. Kind? Well, he did have his moments, but generosity was never Jimmick's strong suit. That's very nice of you," she offered meekly. "Wasn't me," Jimmick replied, as he gestured to the door the human had just left through. "Oh, so the merc already covered me, and you didn't just pocket the extra? In that case, it's very noble of you, Jimmick," Tenessa said sarcastically. There was no one that honest, not this low in the Barrens, not even an old acquaintance. "Oh, you know me. Honourable Jimmick," he chuckled nervously, and grabbed a glass from beneath the bar before continuing. "And I really don't want to get shot in the teeth.